everybody. I'm Lee, and I'm talking about an article written by Ralph Nader for Common Dreams. He says, "Which Trump? Early signs not good." It's from Thursday, November 17th. And it looks like he's talking about the fact that Trump is wanting to be the president of all the people, but early signs are kind of nerve-wracking, according to Ralph Nader. He's saying that, according to Donald Trump, the protesters are out in the streets because, quote, they do not know me. And so he's saying that Trump is loyal to people like Rudy Giuliani and Newt Gingrich, and that this is of a concern. And the fact also that the Electoral College turned over most branches of the federal government to the Republican Party. We've become virtually a one-party nation with the presidency, the Congress, and apparently the Supreme Court, all controlled by the Republican Party. The majority of the state legislatures, also majority of the governorships. Ralph Nader is saying that the reason for this is the Electoral College. That was the mechanism that created this situation, at least at the federal level for the presidency. But it does not answer what happened to the United States House and the United States Senate. That was not the Electoral College that caused that to happen. Neither was the Electoral College the cause of the governorships and the state legislatures turning red. That was actually because of someone at the top of the Democratic ticket depressing, suppressing, and driving away support for the Democratic Party. That was Hillary Clinton that caused that. The Democratic Party basically sabotaged its own chances of balancing political power at the top of at least at the federal level, at least in the House and the Senate, and the state legislatures, the governorships. The Democratic Party is the problem in this case. But anyway, back to Donald Trump and Ralph Nader. He's saying that Donald Trump's transition appointments are delighting corporatists. He's saying that his military advisors seem to have a propensity for authoritarianism and profits for the military-industrial complex. And again, Trump has expressed a position on military defense and foreign policy to the left of Hillary Clinton. And so, in addition to that, Trump received less support from the military contracting defense industry in terms of campaign donations than Hillary Clinton. So, we're not in an ideal situation, but I do think that we are, for what has occurred this election season, it could be worse. We could be at war with Russia right now over Syria. We could be fighting for dear life against the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, fighting a losing battle against a professional gaslighter and deceiver. And instead, these are all dead in the water. And the Trump administration hasn't officially taken power yet. So, I mean, I call it, like, from what I can see it, we have people moving into position or trying to move in position based on past rhetoric. There is cause of concern, but in terms of what has occurred, or nothing has occurred yet except for TTIP, TPP are dead in the water, and war with Russia has been de-escalated from DEFCON status, which is where it was nearly at during the last part of the election. But, Ralph Nader is saying we need to be vigilant. We need to watch what's happening with the Republican Party, the power brokers. the efforts to divide and conquer. Ralph Nader is saying that one way the elite, the political elite, the party elite, the corporate elite can be held in check is with a left and right alliance of populists. The far left, the far right, people in between who understand the class divide and how to unite for a common cause. And I think Trans-Pacific Partnership was that cause. There was a left-right opposition to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. It was heartily rejected by the people. But anyway, Ralph Nader is recommending his book, Unstoppable, The Emerging Left-Right Alliance, to dismantle the corporate state. He's saying that such alliances have occurred with success in the past, and likely they will in the future. So I agree with that. But I'm going to move on to an article at Counterpunch, and this might be a potential to put Ralph Nader's theory to the test that a left-right alliance can be useful in holding unchecked political power at bay. This is an article written by Russell Mokhiber, November 17th. Maryland's fracking ban goes up against corporate Democrats. The Maryland legislature is of a minority in this nation. It is actually controlled by the Democratic Party. And so this is one state that still has a Democratic legislature. And it's not even close. The Senate is 33 Democratic to 14 Republican, and the General Assembly is 91 to 50 in the Democratic hands. But he's saying in this article that the corporations still get what they want in the state of Maryland, particularly the hydraulic fracking of natural gas, also known as fracking. And so there was a grassroots movement to push for a statewide ban on fracking in Maryland. But instead of the ban, they got a moratorium that expires October 2017. And so they have to run another bill in January to ban fracking again, to extend the moratorium, or to actually just ban it altogether once the moratorium expires. And if that ban on fracking, if that bill doesn't pass, then fracking comes to Maryland, like it has already come to West Virginia and Pennsylvania. And so everyone in Pennsylvania and Maryland already knows what fracking does. It contaminates well water. And so this is Trump country. These are red states now. West Virginia was a red state before, but it's definitely a red state now. So is Pennsylvania. And fracking is happening here. It's contaminating the water. Like water is being contaminated in various parts of the United States. Michigan, that occurred under a Democratic president, the contamination of lead in the water. But, now Michigan is red. So it's a Republican responsibility to address that. We have the Dakota Access Pipeline where they're trying to run pipelines into a river that actually services 18 million people as their drinking water, as agricultural crops, livestock, fisheries, human use and consumption. All that has the potential to be uncontaminated. And that river flows through red states. So it's a Republican responsibility now, since they control all the political mechanisms in that region and then at the federal level. And so, but in Maryland, it's under Democratic control, and still there's fracking. And there's an effort to prevent the ban on fracking. This is notable because there's state senators who are serving as lobbyists for the fracking industry in Maryland. This was outlined in a documentary, Fracking Western Maryland, and then also reports by the Baltimore Sun covering this issue. So, how can this be that this is happening and how to make it stop? Likely, it's going to take the citizens banding together, maybe the citizens that identify themselves as liberal or democratic are going to have to reach out to the Republican or conservative or green or libertarian or whatever independent fellow citizens in the state of Maryland on this issue, the same way that Ralph Nader outlined in the previous article. It's going to take a left, right, center alliance in order to defeat the party elite who are fighting to maintain or to bring fracking to Maryland to overcome the ban on fracking. This is the Democratic leadership that's fighting against them, the people of Maryland against this. So, party, you know, party labels, things like that. What matters is clean water. What matters is public health and in the environment. And it takes crossing party lines. This is where we're at now, where we have Democratic control in some levels, and then we have Republican control at other levels. It's going to take the people uniting to protect themselves against corporate interests and people who would sell them out against those corporate interests. So labels are out the window. It's, do you want clean water? And if you do, then get with your neighbors who also want clean water and try to protect yourselves from people who would actually try to hurt you if they could make $1 off of doing that. Good luck.